Joining us now is Democratic Senator Cory Booker of New Jersey. He serves on the Foreign Relations and the Judiciary Committees. As we just were discussing, the king will address Congress today. What are you expecting to hear from him as he speaks with your body tonight?
Well, I hope he gives candor, but I'm not sure if we'll get that in terms of our relationships with England, with the United Kingdom, rather. The reality is we have frayed and stretched bonds. We have a president that is bullying our allies, is denouncing our alliances like NATO. He is really weakening what has been a relationship that has lasted us over a century, where we beat the Nazis together, secured a new world order together, and now the president is undermining that. So I wish there was going to be some candor towards that, but it is a gesture from the United Kingdom that's really important. I think he's going to affirm that England still wants to have a commitment to the United States, and I'm hoping that in the months and years ahead, we can begin to repair a lot of that frayed fabric and really reaffirm the need the United States has for strong allies and alliances.
The facts are the U.S. and the U.K. relationship is strained right now, and we are seeing this growing tension with NATO over the president's war with Iran. How would you characterize America's credibility with its closest allies right now?
Yeah, Donald Trump has torched that credibility. He's not only lied to our allies, he's lied to the American public. And the best case in point is the crisis we have in Iran right now. Remember, the UK joined with the United States to put caps on Iran's enrichment, to have spot checks and inspections, where literally they sent highly enriched uranium out of their country as a part of that deal. And what did this president do? He ripped up that deal, denounced the alliance, and undermined NATO. And now, as a result of what he did, Iran raced over these years to highly enriched uranium, which was his pretext for this war. It's almost like Donald Trump is an arsonist, caused the problem, but then he's saying, I'm going to rush in and put out the fire that I started. But the unfortunate thing is he's caused a worse situation, as Iran has attacked military bases of multiple allies of ours in that region. And now with the closing of the Strait of Hormuz has caused a global economic shock that the world is paying for, and American citizens as well.
Initially, the president had said this would be a 4 to 6 week kind of timeline for this war. We're now approaching a critical deadline of 60 days under the War Powers Act. That 60-day window for congressional approval expires at the end of this week. And the president can certainly extend it just a little bit by 30 days in order to remove American forces from the war, citing national security. But all war powers resolutions brought up to this point have failed in both chambers. Senator, I know you've supported these efforts. Is there another option for Congress to reassert its authority? And what does it mean in practical terms if that 60-day deadline lapses?
Well, I'm going to fight, and I've been grateful to lead with a handful of my Senate colleagues in bringing every single week one of these votes to the Senate floor, because the Senate's not doing their job. They are allowing this president to enter us into a reckless war, spend $50 billion or more, cause pain, economic pain to all of us at home, and the loss of lives, 13 American soldiers, hundreds more injured. So the Senate cannot ignore this. It cannot go business as usual. We're going to force these votes. And I'm finally glad to hear Thom Tillis, John Curtis, to hear some Republican senators start to say enough is enough. There needs to be accountability here. Well, we're going to force that. If the Senate Republicans don't want to hold open hearings, if they don't want to hold debates, we're going to force that. And I'm going to continue to fight on this because it's the right thing to do.
Why don't they want to hold these open hearings and provide that transparency in a format like that to the American people?
Because it's indefensible, and they know it. If you had open hearings on this, they would expose the fact that this president had no strategy. He got warned about the Strait of Hormuz. He ignored that. He said that we were going to have regime change. The regime is more extreme. He said that he wanted to stop them from getting a nuclear weapon. Well, their highly enriched uranium is still in country. He has no strategy to get that out. This would expose his failures. But that's what Congress is supposed to do, not blind partisanship, but the kind of patriotism that comes by checking and balancing a president, by holding him accountable, by providing oversight. So this is a real demonstration of political cowardice that they are more afraid of Donald Trump than of doing their jobs. I don't care what party you're in. Everybody should want open hearings. Everybody should want the president's team to sit in the saddle, answer the hard questions. But so far, Republicans haven't been demanding it. But I'm going to continue to lead on the floor to demand just that.
We have seen public briefings from the Pentagon where some members of the press have been able to ask questions of the Secretary of Defense and top officials. But The Atlantic reports that the Vice President, J.D. Vance, has repeatedly been pushing back on Pentagon officials in private over their claims surrounding this war with Iran, raising questions about the accuracy of what the public is being told. In particular, he's raised questions about missile stockpiles. Defense Secretary Hegseth and others have said U.S. weapons stockpiles are robust. Senator, does this reporting raise concerns for you that the American people aren't getting the full picture?
No, the American people are clearly not getting the full picture. This doesn't raise concerns. It just confirms what I already know. We've even been in classified skiffs, things that they know we can't talk about, that have shown their incompetence, their reckless disregard for having any strategy, and they're deepening us in another Middle East mire of confusion, chaos, corruption, and incompetence. Not on the behalf of our military. Hey, they've done a good job of degrading their near-term combat capabilities. But the fact that this president had no strategy is what's causing a global oil shock right now, is why Americans are paying so much more money, is the exposure that he has no off-ramp, that he's actually made us less dangerous, that they have learned that with low-cost drones, even though we have the most powerful military in the world, they can still inflict serious damage to us and our allies. And so, again, they don't want this exposed to the truth. There'll be an unpacking of this for years to come. This will be taught at our military colleges as a big blunder, a fool's errand that this president has led us into that has ultimately made our country less safe. And with prices going up at home, he is not creating America first. Unfortunately, he's showing American failure at a time that our country deserves so much better.
Senator, let's turn to Saturday's attack at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Republicans, including Senator Lindsey Graham, are now pushing the White House ballroom in its aftermath, introducing a measure that would authorize $400 million in taxpayer money for the ballroom. Does Saturday's attack warrant the president's new ballroom? Is that the right security fix?
No, they're trying to use a painful, awful attack. An attack on our democracy, an attack on America. They're trying to use that as a pretext for this corrupt endeavor that they're doing, that is the White House ballroom, where corporations who are trying to curry favor, where billionaires who are trying to curry favor, are all throwing money at this president for a ballroom that didn't go through any kind of congressional approval, that didn't go through the kind of checks and balances, where public reporting is showing they're actually making mistakes in the design. This is disastrous. And it's really unfortunate that they're using a moment where we could be having a larger national conversation about political violence, about the need for grace and forgiveness, a need for us to be reminding ourselves that we are one nation under God. No, instead of that, these folks are pivoting quickly to try to give more cover to shameful actions by the President of the United States. This is a lost opportunity for healing in America, and what I think we need to do, which is having a renewal of American common cause and common spirit.
I mean, that political violence issue is something on a lot of Americans' minds. DOJ officials say in this case, the evidence points to the attacker targeting administration officials. Republicans and White House officials alike have wasted no time blaming Democrats for this incident, pointing to what they say is violent rhetoric coming from the left. What say you?
If anybody thinks they're going to deal with violence in America, growing political violence, threats on judges and Congress people and cabinet officials and the president himself, if you think you're going to deal with that by doubling down on partisan rancor, by deepening a left-right divide, you're contributing more towards our disagreements than you are to healing our country. All of us need to take a moment and realize that we can't change anybody else, but we can be the change we want to see in the world. And that changes in our public spaces, in the sacred civic areas of our nation. All of us should be finding ways on our social media accounts, in our conversations, and definitely what we say about people who have political differences with us. We should be showing grace. We should be showing that we have generosity of spirit, we should be the healing and frankly, the redemption our country needs, not just adding more toxins to the system of our body politic.
Senator Cory Booker, thank you for taking the time, and we appreciate you and your extra patience as we were covering the live events at the White House. Again, thank you for being with us.
Thank you very much.